Welcome to the Sci-Fi Guys. I'm your host, Dave, and I'm flying solo today. I'm kidding. I'm not flying solo today. I've always got John and Chad with me today. Today, we are talking about the movie Avatar, the one from 2004, 5,
Hey, I think it says 9 on
9,
the poster.
9. Yeah, 2009. Yeah, it was 2009. I don't remember when it was. That's right. Yeah, actually, it was 2009. So this pod is starting out on a great note, you know.
Well, you didn't use your resources, so it's on your screen.
I mean, it's right there. I just did just kind of brain farted. I'm sorry. It's been a crazy week. Again, we were talking about this off air. It has been a crazy week for all of us. So, but we're doing our best we can. Yeah, we're talking about Avatar. Let's see, it's kind of back here. You can see it on the screen. We're not going to be playing it because of copyright rules and all that. YouTube wouldn't like that too much. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some good stuff. John picked this thing this week. And so we're going to go ahead and start with our... Okay, John, give us your questions.
All right, well, we're going to start on the more technical side. I think by this point, y'all have figured out I like some of the more technical aspects of film. And part of what made this film revolutionary to begin with is it was really a new style of 3D. And part of my question to you guys is why don't we see more 3D used for immersion? It kind of had a big moment, and especially around the time of this film, and then it just kind of died out. So why do you guys think we don't see that as much?
I'm thinking it's a cost. I mean, Avatar was a super expensive. It was super expensive to do, and I don't know. I just when you say immersion, maybe you can give us a little better. What are you talking about on that?
Well, like particularly, I think for Avatar, it kind of drew you into the world as opposed to just the classic, blue and red 3D. It was meant just to kind of draw you in, make you see things in that world as opposed to making things pop out into yours. And so that idea of immersion being, drawn literally into the world instead of it being pushed out to you.
Okay, yeah, I really think it's cost prohibited. I mean, for one, I mean, if I remember right, this was. I don't think it won best actor, but I mean best movie or anything, I think it did win like best visual effects at the Oscars. Um, it does suck you in. I mean, granted, there are some things that I saw that I was just like, really, why? But other things were just like, oh, that's cool. I mean, just and actually, my wife sat there and watched it with me. So we both sat there and watched it because she said she'd never seen it before, and I was like, well, be prepared. I said it's very visual stimulating. It's beautiful work. It really is.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I don't know if it's the story also. Would be you got to have the right story to do the immersion, CGI immersion. I really do think because some places I went back and looked at 5 years or 6 years after this movie at the movies that came out, and there was a lot that used CGI. I mean, heck, Age of Ultron was done, The Force Awakens, the Minions, Mission Impossible, Pixels, which we've seen here, but most of those are the worlds you don't feel like you're being drawn into. It's like, okay, they're acting, they're doing their missions or whatever, and they're in that place. You don't feel like you belong in there. You just feel like an outsider. Chad, do you have any other insights on that?
I think part of it is because I don't think if it was cost effective, you probably see more of those movies or more of them out there just to draw you in. Because to me, best storyteller, best thing is you want to be drawn into the movie to get invested. Because why do you think that when they announced they come out with another Avatar, everybody was so excited to be there because they wanted to see it because they wanted to be back into that feel.
I have not seen the sequel yet, so
Either.
I haven't finished it.
Ah,
I got to about an hour in, I'm like, all right.
We're like, we need to finish our podcast about this first one before you get
Yeah.
confused on storylines or anything. So,
Yeah, that's fair. Well, CGI was the flip side of this question, and um, it was kind of the first time they used mocap. You know, the dots all over the body and the face to really capture and align that line of skin over that movement. But overall, I mean, a good chunk of this film is CGI. I mean, it could have won, best animated film at this point. Um, and just in that sense, do you guys think CGI has gotten better or worse since then? That's a tricky question, I know, but
very tricky question. Um, Chad, you want to start?
I say 50-50. Yeah, I think it got a little bit better, but also got shot back. Like you go 8 steps forward, they got shot back 10 steps because everybody's trying to do it differently. There's no set formula.
I think you're spot on, Chad. You know, there some movies again. Some of the ones I mentioned, from 2015. You know, they were heavily into CGI, but it wasn't like Avatar. I mean, Jurassic World came out that year. And they did a lot of the same type of with the dots and all that. Where people were wearing the suits of the velociraptors walking around, and then they CGI'd, the actual animal, the dinosaur on top of them. But I don't think maybe it was just because they did so much with the background, so much of the color scheme, the color palettes that they used, that everything kind of popped in Avatar compared to, say, Jurassic World or Mad Max or some of those. I mean, I guess maybe it's just the color palette.
Yeah.
that's fair. I mean, to me, I kind of with both of you guys. It's like we had a good hiatus of really great CGI, and then now they're working to rush films out so much, it seems like it's taking a dip just because they're going quantity over quality. Because, Avatar took a long time, even from conception to making it, and technology even had to catch up along the way. So, like, they poured a lot into it, even over time. But a lot of movies now, well, we have a 1 year, 2 year deadline. Let's just push it out and get what we get. And at that point, we're going to make money anyway because people are just going to go watch it. So I've seen a drop off lately, but there was a huge, great time of quality, a golden era of CGI, if you would. Well, outside of the technical aspects, getting to the movie itself, what do you guys think led to humans mining like a specific mineral on this planet? Obviously, they said unobtainium was like ridiculously worth a lot of money. But do you guys think it was just a general capitalism? Did it happen, after we explored space? Did it just we happen to connect to other life in space and all of a sudden we're a part of this bigger network and we need to make money? What do you guys think?
I think it's more capitalism than what everybody wants to hear. Because it's all about it's every movie we're seeing that we go into trying to mine something, it's all about money. They want something to either power the dying world that we coming from, or trying to any other thing that's out there. Because we don't know how their space station, the spaceships work. They could be working off that mineral that they mining. So that's why they wanted. That's all the big deadline.
Fair. What about you, Dave?
I'm a little different. I think that I know the movie never actually said it, but I think the Earth was at a tipping point where they had basically utilized all of their natural resources, and they were out searching different planets, and then they just happened to stumble upon, you know, what was it called? Unobtainium. You know,
Yes.
I
Ironic
mean, I
name.
just think it was something that they just happened to stumble upon, and then they're like, "We can make ships, we can make this, we can make that, we can do this. It'll be very rich, it'll be expensive, it'll be, So I don't know. I mean, again, the movie doesn't tell us that. Maybe the sequel talks more about it, of what happened and why they ended up going to Pandora. But this is all speculation. I am just totally guessing at this.
Yeah, because it definitely leaves it up in the air. We don't really get a big backstory of why humans are out there to begin with, because it doesn't seem like much time has passed in terms of like it didn't seem too overly future based. I mean, maybe 50 to 100 years, but it's not like it was
Yeah, they weren't
hugely.
using lasers and stuff. They were still using bullets. They were still using, knives and whatever, for weaponry and all that. Those
Yeah,
helicopters were pretty sick though.
that's very true. I mean, it almost seems like they would have made a lot of money off of a prequel too if they went that route eventually.
See, they also stole. I think there's guys in the mech suits,
Robot jocks.
robot
Yeah,
jocks, or if you haven't finished watching any of the Matrices, it was in Matrix. It had something similar, guarding the Zion.
it's true. All right. Well, in regards to this whole idea, I mean, they're on another planet, they're mining materials. Of course, they run into what's basically their idea of natives. What do you think could have been done to make the relations work better with the Navi?
First, don't drill.
Leave.
until you get a dialogue because we happen to find this, then you're like, oh, there's people here, oh, they are intelligent, oh, they're 10 feet tall, oh, we can't breathe on the planet, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of other stuff that had to happen first before they just said, you know what, let's just mine the place.
We
They're
got
bigger
security
than us,
bring
big
in.
deal, we got bullets, or what, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. I mean, or even better, after they get a dialogue, they start communicating, and you know what? Especially how they feel about nature and how it's all interconnected. You know, maybe they would have said, you know what? Hey, you can't touch Pandora itself, but all these floating whatever, have at it. You know,
Mhm.
or something like that. You know what I'm saying? There could have been a give and take on both sides, but that did not happen from my experience. What I saw.
No,
Yeah. What do you think, Chad? How could they have done better?
I agree with Dave. They could have just first started just drilling and go, "Hey, I'm going to go push down all these trees," and just kept doing it. And then and also while doing it, trying to also do peace talks. Say, "Hey, I need here, so y'all need to move." So you're half the either a talk before you do, or hey, let's go find somewhere else.
Or C, do like the military did and just say, you know what, we're going to wipe them out.
Yeah. All of those, I mean, I feel like any of those could have happened on the front end and they could have avoided a lot of the after of like, oh, we found this mineral. Well, we're just going to start mining and we'll figure it out later. I think any amount of pre-planning, I probably could have figured out a lot of that before they even started.
There actually was a Stargate episode, and I cannot remember the name of it, that dealt very similar to this, way before the movie came out. This movie came out. And I wonder if they were any of the writers or anything were going on that, where basically it was um, they found, I think it was Naquita at the time, and is what they were searching for, and they found a natural gully of it or whatever. However, there was aliens that lived there, but they looked like Native Americans. So it was really tugging on their heartstrings, especially for what happened to Native Americans originally coming to North America. So anyway, I don't exactly remember what all happened. I think they talked to them and they were like, "No, you cannot drill here." So they were like, "Okay, we won't drill there." And then they had some way that they were able to get. They were able to the natives were able to cut them out their own way where it wasn't hurting the earth. And then they were able to give them the Naquita. So it worked out a much better way than say this movie did.
Yeah. I think that's a interesting point too. Like if they had just worked with the Navi, they probably could have found a way to mine it without it being an issue. And they just really kind of chose not to and be bullheaded about it, which honestly, what's more human than that? We're just
Mhm.
gonna power our way through. We've got it. I hope we get better at that before we ever possibly discover other life. Maybe we'll make better connections, but we'll see. regardless, if you were on the planet of Pandora and you were able to have an avatar as it stands, what would be your favorite part of being on Pandora?
Am I Jake, or is it, or just another avatar?
You are Jake. You are
Okay,
in the machine and you are piloting
Jake.
that
Oh,
body.
I would be flying those birds all over the place. I know Disney World has that, and I have not been to Disney World probably since
They came out with it.
no. Last time I went to Disney World was like 2001. No, 10. 99. No, my son was born in 99. It was like 2000, and my son turned 10 when we got there. So it was 2009 was the last time I was at Disney World. Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah. And so again, Avatar wasn't there then. It was Wings, if I remember right. And they took over. It was at Epcot, and Avatar took over that one. But no, that would be my thing. I mean, one, because I love to fly. I love everything about flying. I mean, if I could get a pilot's license, I would just be like all over that. But yeah, that would be it. But if it was just a regular person, just like Grace, or just one of the other many avatars that were playing basketball, even though we never saw who was controlling them. No, that's not a plot hole, but I'm not going to say it.
Yes.
Anyway, no, I mean, can you imagine just looking at stuff from another point of view? I mean, one, you're 10 feet tall. So everything is going to look differently than I mean, I'm 6'3", so add another 4 inches to me, everything is going to look a lot different. It's like standing on a box or standing on a chair or halfway up a ladder, and then you're looking at the world in a different set of eyes. And you can go to the very edge of a cliff, and if you fall, oh well, you don't die, but you could look down and you could actually see different things and just have totally different experiences than you would say in your natural life.
Yeah, it's fair. But you, Chad?
Dave, you stole my answer. I was going to say if I was Jake flying those banshees, I mean, that,
That would be so awesome. I mean, finally he was like, bank left, bank right. Oh, you got it.
fly straight.
Like literally, just think, Jake. Just think. That's all you got to do.
You don't have to say it. Just think it. Look forward.
Yeah, I'm completely with you guys on the flying. I think anybody who has seen this film was probably like, "Yeah, I definitely want to fly." But overall, I think just the beauty of that planet would be pretty awesome to experience as a whole. But regardless, it's all about the flying for me too.
Oh yeah. I mean, just the I would love to be able to fly around there at night. I mean, the flying would be cool, but just the night shots were fantastic.
The bioluminescence,
Yes. Yes.
gorgeous. All right, that brings us to our last question, which talking about a little bit before apparently was vague enough. In your opinion, what is the greatest betrayal that we see in the film?
Chad, you got to do this first because I read this question wrong,
I
and
think
I'll be interested. I'm going to talk about it, but yeah, go ahead.
the number one was to me was when he realized what he was doing was wrong, and he started really loving that side of the planet because we got to think Jake was in a wheelchair. In his avatar, had everything. He was running. So
Mhm.
when he finally became one of them, and it was hey, they remember they already got this. They got caught. This is their chance to try to get them away from Mother Tree. When they had to go to what's her name, to the person that he fell in love with and say, hey, I did this. Y'all need to listen. This is what I've done. That was the ultimate betrayal to me.
Yeah, and see, based off of what I was asking, that's kind of what I was thinking is the fact that he betrayed the people, especially after he fell in love with
Yeah.
their culture and all of that as a whole, and all of a sudden realizing, well, I've got to own up to it. But in that same way, just honesty forcing a betrayal of them in order to try to protect them. I think that was massively huge, but it was also a very big like betrayal. So now that brings me to my curiosity of Dave, how did
Okay.
you interpret it?
I interpreted when I read it, said, in your opinion, what's the greatest betrayal? I read it as the writers, the ones that wrote the story. One of the biggest betrayals is unobtainium, because first in most of your movies they joke about unobtainium. You know, they're like, okay, it's the name. They even says it's been used as an ad in as an in joke with the scientific community. um, to describe any material needed for a specific purpose, which was practically impossible to find. You know, just the name of it. That's where I was like, oh, that's why they called it what? No, no, they couldn't come up with a better name. You
Yeah,
know,
they could have come up with anything else.
yeah,
It's unobtainable. It's
Kryptonite.
unobtainium.
yeah, or something. And of course, not to get too technical, but the problem with the material itself is in the law of physics cannot exist. So to me, it was all about the writers, not when you were looking for Jake. So that's why I was like, oh, this is
No.
not gonna this is different. This is what I'm
Well,
thinking of, you know.
here, here's another one. It's dealt with Jake, but beginning of the movie when they hey, you're doing this. So the guy that freed him from the jail cell saw him meeting with the colonel, the head of the mining people, talking about this right here, endless columns. So why didn't like he just walk in and say, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that? That guy betrays. I mean, he went and told the doctor that hey, y'all might want to do this.
It's very true. Because that sets up Jake's betrayal,
Yeah,
ultimately.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, his betrayal was well. Let's all right. Let me go with a different route. All right. Basically, Jake was used
yeah,
by the colonel, right,
and by the doctor.
and by Grace.
Yeah,
yeah.
Grace realized that's why, if you notice at the beginning of the movie, she's a total against him, you know, just
I don't
can't
want
stand
him.
him. You know, hey, I want the PhD that studied this and practiced, not some grunt. You know, then when she realized, oh, because he's a grunt and he's able to reach them at a different level than all of us. I mean, it's almost like, you know, when you look at fingers, you know, each finger does something different. You can't have five thumbs.
Mhm.
You know, you'll never be able to pick up a toy, you know, if you had five thumbs. You know. Anyway, um, knocked it on the ground. Fun stuff. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, and then Grace did the same thing. She realized, oh, I need this. I want to get closer. Then you notice they all actually accepted Grace into their community when they accepted Jake, not necessarily
Yeah.
as a full fledged. What do they call him? Narari, Navari,
Navi.
Navi.
Nari Navi.
Yeah, not as a full fledged Navi, but as now they accepted Grace, and then she was able to talk to a lot more of them. So they both were betraying Jake at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So that kind of rounds about to your question. So
yeah, you got to think with. I mean, Jake betrayed. Okay, when he fell in love and fell this, I don't think when he went to tell them, he was like, "Hey, I've done this. I'm with you. Let's find a way to beat him." I don't think he went in to try to try and get him to move, but he was also trying to. I think was trying to sit there and say, "Hey, we need to fight this, but we can't fight it now." And that,
maybe he was playing both, and he was playing both sides too.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he was a good old Benedict Arnold, as we would call him.
Yeah.
Working both sides.
Yeah.
Self gain. Well, that
Well,
kind of wraps up my questions, guys, and that was it's great conversation there.
oh yeah, it was really good, really good. So let's go to our next segment. Plot holes. Okay. Oh, look. Oh, you guys are ready for plot holes this time. Okay. So I'm going to start with Chad. Chad, what plot hole did you see, or a couple of them, whatever? Just tell me. Plot.
well, I think we said it, and I was already thinking. I always like this is about the third time. I think it's third or fourth time I watched this movie. You never saw the other avatars that was in the camp playing basketball. Who were they? Why were they there? Why didn't they go with them to the mountains, to the high mountains to help out? And then
Yeah, I mean, you saw them there playing basketball because they're like 8 foot, 6 foot, 10 foot tall, and you see them playing basketball, but you did see a few of those when Grace got out of the one. You saw a couple
Yeah.
more, and then, but if you counted how many were there,
there was a lot.
I didn't see that many, but maybe there was more. I mean, I missed that then. Anyway,
Well, you had the 4 or 5 playing basketball.
Well, you had a whole
Grace.
bunkhouse.
You had
Yeah.
Tweedledum, and then you had
Norm.
Jake, Norm. Well, yeah, Norm.
Steve.
Okay, John, what'd you have?
My biggest glaring plot hole is why Jake? Why is Jake Scully so important? I understand we set up this whole quote unquote Navi like spiritual idea, like oh the little jellyfish things landed on him and all, and like Ewa's like all about him. But why is he so important?
Yeah.
Obviously the Navi have been burned before because they kicked Grace out at some point because she was teaching them. She was at least in the kids' realm and all. Like she was with the people. They obviously kicked her out at some point. So why Jake? What made them suddenly just accept him? And maybe not a plot hole so much as a plot convenience that they accept him, bring him in, and teach him their ways. But it's just really like it doesn't really jive with me that he was so important to them on the front end because he just kind of showed up and she kind of randomly found him. And I know she said, "Oh, there's this great sign." And I get how important that is to them, but at the same time, I would have been a lot more skeptical as a whole.
Well, you got to think it. I think it had stumbled on it. She was not there to go get Jake. She was there to. I think she said she was hunting Jake, trying to kill him.
Yeah,
because they didn't want them there. Like I said, we don't know why Grace was kicked away from the the tribe.
Right.
Why was she not able to go back? So what was her betrayal to them?
yeah there's a lot of unanswered questions there for me that just create plot holes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was lots of plot holes in here. I mean, anybody got any more before I jump in here?
I mean, that was my biggest because they're just general ignorance to continue to just be like, yeah, he's fine. He's certainly not going to go against us. The fact that they keep letting sky people in general, like, why didn't they just attack and squash it to begin with? Like a random group of people showing up on your planet. Also, what about all these other tribes? Why are they just showing up at the end? What have they been doing this whole time? Just chilling out on their side of the planet because the humans aren't there? Like, why are they just showing up? Those are my three. My glaring one is Jake, but the rest still exists.
It's not my problem, so I'm going to push it on to someone else.
You got any more, Chad?
Okay. Why was you got the big banshee. Great Tuok.
The Great Tuok, yeah.
Why didn't somebody why did Jake had to be the one? Why couldn't?
Yeah, I was gonna say with how much trouble, that was one of the ones I have, is with the amount of trouble he had first with his own Banshee.
Yeah.
And then magically he's the one that can connect and and we didn't get to see it either. It was you saw him falling and then the next thing you know you see him landing.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, they should have at least showed the struggle, or something. That would have been really good.
Well, you saw him land on it, and once he landed on it, cutscene to other one.
That's what I'm saying.
That's when they started to run out of budget, guys. Give them a break.
No, I don't get
again. It is a plot hole. It is. Okay, I got a couple here. Why don't avatars have GPS or some kind of tracker on them? My phone has a tracker on it. If on the Find My Phone, my iPad does. Your car, a lot of these cars do. Why doesn't $1 million avatar where they could say, "Oh, it's over here. Let's go get it." You know,
Because they hadn't launched satellites around Pandora yet, Dave. That's what GPS
It-
requires.
then that follows into my next plot hole: is how do they control them over these long distances? I mean, is it like Wi-Fi? It's got to be some kind of if they
link.
can't do a tracking system, how do they communicate from a little box where he's laying in into
Well,
the avatar itself?
how do they even fly there if they don't have GPS?
Well, I mean,
Come on now.
yeah,
They all talking about my GPS it gets interference when I get in the high mountains. They even said it there.
yeah.
Something like they had it.
But why didn't they use it? Yeah. You guys mentioned that. We mentioned Grace. Okay, Trudy's paint job. How did she get blue paint? Where did that come from? And when did she have time to paint it and it dry before she's up flying around? So they don't attack her helicopter. I know it's not a helicopter, but whatever it was, you know. What else did I have? Okay, the biggie, the military. Oh, we're doing this because we want to prevent loss of life. Yet, when it comes time to take out the tree, they shoot gas, and within 30 seconds, they're like, hey, incendiary rounds, let's burn it. Boom. You know, it's like you hardly even let the people get away to run away, and then you take the tree. I mean, come on.
They're shooting me with bows and arrows.
You know,
I'm getting hit. Fire.
Yeah, then he's like, okay, well, we're gonna just take care of that, you know, and just kill them off. So those are my plot holes. That's what I've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, all these, everyone has said makes for some compelling arguments. And with that, maybe we can fix this movie then. Now, don't get me wrong. This movie was a I don't know if it was billions, but multi-million dollar.
Yeah, multi-millions movie.
So there's not a lot. What would you say is the what you would like to fix or improve in this movie? So we'll start with you, John.
My biggest thing would be time. My biggest fix, I think, would be splitting this into two films, and kind of give them equal amounts of time. I would almost go a little bit more prequel. How do we get here? Let's set up the story. Leslie and Jake getting used to them. Maybe some smaller plot line, where that gets him in with the Navi, and they have some crisis, and he gets in and he helps them as an avatar, and then set up the second film where he falls in love with them to the point that like he's willing to go against the military and his own people. So for me, I would almost split that into two separate ideas, just because I think you would get just the same amount of quality and be able to tell a little bit more of the story that makes it a little more compelling and understandable. That would be my fix overall.
Okay, Chad, how about you?
Oh, I was going to say some about what John said. Just to me is we don't know why they're there. Okay, or why didn't they just focus like do the prequel like where they show them getting there first and having Grace find her betrayal? That way, that could be another prequel, another movie instead of doing. Eh, I would have changed that. Figure out why Grace left. That way, it kind of fits their bond. And other than that, maybe showing him conquering the Great Turok or do it. I mean, why did it work on Jake, not Grace? When they trying to get Grace, like remember they tried to put Grace right into her avatar so that she could be there all the time, but it didn't work. But it worked on Jake.
Because Grace needed her cigarette. Yeah. For me, it would be. See, I'm more of the technical aspect. I'm looking at the military stuff. If you've got a big giant mech that's walking around, one, you don't need a knife that's in a little sleeve. that should be incorporated right in your hand and be able to pop it out when you need it. Same with the guns. Why are you walking around with guns? They should be right in the arms or up on the shoulders or something. Make it more of a true mech. Don't make it like an extension of body armor. Make it a mech that you can still punch with it and do things and grab and all that, but you won't have there's no way for you to lose your weapon. Let's just say, that and I'm really big on, I want to know what happened, why they kicked Grace out. Was it prior to Jake showing up Grace, the way she acted? Maybe she acted that way around them, as hey, I'm smarter than you, I'm this and that, or what. And so I would really like to see that, what happened there, and then how they were able to, because they kept calling them Sky people. So obviously, and yeah, like you guys said, a prequel would have been cool to see how they saw the Sky people for the first time. That would be pretty amazing. All right. If we've done all that, we're going to go to our ratings now. As we are the Sci-Fi guys and we love our ratings, we are going to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 lightsabers. So starting with John. John, you're the one that picked this out. So what do you rate this at?
Well, considering I've had to retcon at least one rating because of a certain guess, I think I have to give this one credit just historically for everything it did, CGI, 3D, and on top of that, they weren't so focused on that they lost a story. Sure, it has plot holes. Every story does somewhere. But I think ultimately it still runs a solid 5 just because it draws you in. It's a good story. And again, historically, technologically wise and all, they did a lot of amazing things for the time and still drew you into the story. So,
okay, Chad, how about you?
I agree with the CGI and 3D with the storyline, but to me it's a 4. I like the movie, but it wasn't my cup. It was not the best cup of tea I like.
Okay.
it's a good analogy.
Good analogy, yeah. If I was going strictly off visuals, I would definitely give this a 5 lightsabers for sure. However, there were some misses to me in the movie itself. There were some plot holes. Again, we mentioned a lot of them. I'm still, it is an enjoyable movie. It's way too long. I agree with John. It's way too long. So because it's too long and because it has some plot holes, I'm going to go ahead and give this 4 lightsabers. So
See, it
I went
balances
with
out
4
because I was going to go 4.5 originally. And then I'm like, no, I can't have another Empire.
Yeah.
Well, this is not Empire.
Oh no, it's not.
It's not
It's
Empire
not.
and it's not Wrath of Khan,
But it is historical.
It was a very good movie,
Yeah.
and actually at the end of the year we're going to do our top 5 movies, and our bottom 5 movies. Maybe, I don't know if we're going to do the bottom 5. I think we'll just stick with the top 5. We'll discuss that later on, but at the end of the year, we're not going by strictly lightsaber ratings. We're going to go by enjoyability and how much you want to watch it again and all that. So,
See, yeah.
Because again, you may have a five lightsaber review, but you might say, you know what, I loved it, it was great, but I don't need to see it again, or I don't need to see it again for a long time, something like that. Okay. All right. Best way to contact us is YouTube right here. That's where we're at. Go down in the comments, leave a comment, review, give us a thumbs up. That would be great. We're also on all the social media networks. We've been getting a lot of people have been joining our Facebook. We are at the Sci-Fi Guys. You can email us, these Sci-Fi Guys at gmail.com. Okay, everybody. I'm going to give you a little teaser for next week because we kind of forgot to do it last week. I didn't tell you what this week was because we had a guest and it was a little different than what we normally do. But next week, Chad chose this movie. Oh, a classic, I, Robot. That's gonna have some good discussions, I'm sure, with especially the three laws. I
Mhm.
can't remember who is it, Isaac Antonoff or
So
whatever,
that's close.
something
Yeah.
like that. It was so we're gonna have some really good discussions on that. I'm sure. We will until the next time, everybody.
Crash and
Crash and
burn.
Crash
burn.
and burn.